to the Youth at Heart Inclusion at Soul session by Voice. Voice is an innovative grant facility funded by the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, executed jointly by a consortium of 2 organizations, Oxfam and HEROES, in 10 countries, 6 in Africa and 4 in Asia. We are led by the mantra, now us. Nothing about us without us. With this session today, Inclusion at Soul, we believe that inclusion was not sufficiently considered as a stand-alone strategic priority within the youth strategy by the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So this session aims to provide you with valuable collective insights on how to promote inclusive approaches to young people. Joining the conversation are 4 unique, bold, powerful African women from Mali, Tanzania, Nigeria, and Kenya. And despite their diverse background, they have one thing in common. They say experience is the best teacher. They will share their lived realities on what inclusion and or exclusions means to them, be it at school, or work, or society at large, which happen to be pillars within the Youth at Heart strategy. We believe by having this conversation today will be an opportunity to advance what is in the strategy. And as a takeaway, they will provide us with practical tools on how to make inclusion possible. Join the conversation.
Let's play a game to show how interchangeable identities actually are. Our 4 speakers are introducing one another, not themselves. Can you guess who is who? Let the game begin.
My name is Annette. I am a deaf woman. I am a feminist. I have been involved in campaigns across Africa that have changed the world's mindset to disability is not inability. Inclusion for me is not to be contested. It's a given fact for all if we are to make the world a better place. A luta continua.
My name is Aminata Traore. I am the founder and president of the Malian Association for the Protection of People with Albinism. I am most proud of organizing the first Miss and Mr. Albinos pageant in Mali, and the first Miss Albinos from 2017 has become an international model, defying all existing beauty standards. And I am a slammer, using the power of spoken words to get an important message across on inclusion.
Je suis Emma Mengo, un être humain très motivé et concentré qui peut parfois être traduit comme dur ou tendu par une partie de la société. Je suis Emma. Okay. L'inclusion est importante pour moi. Je suis Emma, car contrairement à une audition pour un poste de mannequin où il faut avoir une certaine apparence pour être pris en considération. Je suis Emma Mengo. L'inclusion demande simplement que chaque personne fasse partie de la société comme elle est.
Could you maybe start by telling us, in your own definition of inclusion? I know inclusion has been a buzzword. Everywhere you hear everyone talking about inclusion.
So, inclusion, especially since the movement started, I'm talking about the SGM movement for me, is a buzzword, just like quarantine is a buzzword now. So, inclusion for me is a choice, really. You either want to do it or do not want to do it. Do choose to have inclusion as part of your work, then it has to be a very deliberate choice, a very intentional choice. And inclusion for me has to have a dash of equity. I know people, even our constitution, most of our laws talk about equality, but then forget equality does not favor everyone, really. So inclusion for me has to be a deliberate, an intentional, and a very equitable choice.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, I believe that the term inclusion, the concept of inclusion exists because there is already a segmentation between people living with disabilities and able-bodied people. And I believe it shouldn't truly exist if we're all equal, if we're all the same. I believe it shouldn't exist, but I believe that inclusion is being a part of society. It is the quality of being human generally. So nobody should be excluded. Nobody should be excluded. We should all be included. So I believe it's being a part of society, being human.
Pour l'invitation. Je vous remercie. L'inclusion pour moi, et dans un premier temps, c'est l'acceptation de la différence des uns et des autres. C'est-à-dire que les uns acceptent les autres selon leurs différences. L'inclusion, c'est aussi c'est la prise en compte des besoins spécifiques des personnes différentes. Voilà, la prise en compte des besoins spécifiques au niveau familial, au niveau communautaire et aussi par les décideurs dans les politiques et les lois. Voilà.
Hello, my name is Emma, and inclusion for me means making a deliberate, intentional, and equitable choice to include every person who is affected by a certain decision. Inclusion also means meeting people at their point of need and individual circumstances and helping improve their lives from that point onward. Thank you.
Do you have moments where you feel then included?
I do. I have moments where I feel included. Okay. When I go out and I see other people and I'm allowed to go out, and when I was a part of Street Project Foundation, which helps youths in Nigeria to develop their arts as a form of, as a source of income. Yes, I saw other people with disabilities and I was part of something. I was a part of something outside of myself, and nobody ever treated me as though I was my disability. They treated me like a human being. they didn't look at me as, oh, she has irons in her legs, so she's nothing. You know, everybody was allowed to do things. We were allowed to participate in society. So I felt included in that moment, and I really cherished it.
So I usually tend to think I fit in very fast in the very, because I'm male dominated space, but I fit in very fast because I am male presenting by dressing, by mannerisms. So I tend to feel that's why I fit in very quickly, maybe, as opposed to maybe a feminine presenting woman. But that does not negate the fact that I'm still a woman, no matter how I present. So I really didn't have a problem there moving on, because I think they thought I had some, they thought I was also a man because of how I behaved and how I dressed. It was easier for them to pull me into their circle.
Do you have an example of one moment where you felt excluded in your life? Would you like to share that moment?
Yes, I would love to share that. Well, it was when I was in primary school, when I was way younger, and I was always scared of standing up because I had a deformity, bow legs. So I was always scared of standing up in class, of doing anything, of going to throw something in the bin, of going to the toilet. So I used to pee on the seats in class instead because I was so scared, because I felt different, I felt excluded. And at that point, I didn't really register it in my brain. So, but one day, I really love sports. So one day I was playing basketball and nobody threw the ball to me. And I was wondering why. And I just sat down and I was about to cry. I was about to cry, and I said I would never cry in school because I didn't want people to view me as my disability, because people tend to do that a lot of times. So I felt excluded then, and I feel excluded a lot because I'm not allowed to go out and do many things with my time. And I feel like people living with disabilities shouldn't feel that way. I feel if we were more included in society, we would feel more like human beings. So that was a moment where I felt excluded.
Avant de parler de ma personne sur le côté exclusion, ce qui m'a le plus touché dernièrement, c'est pendant cette pandémie due au coronavirus. Donc, notre organisation n'a pas bénéficié de soutien de l'État. C'est-à-dire, j'ai vu l'État distribuer à d'autres organisations des masques et lavables, des kits sanitaires pour se protéger. Mais nous nous sommes sentis exclus parce que nous faisons partie de la société civile, nous faisons partie d'une organisation fêtière, mais nous n'avons pas été vraiment considérés pour ça. Et ça nous a vraiment touchés. Jusqu'à ce que nous avons... Mais nous ne sommes pas laissés faire, nous avons nous-mêmes entrepris de produire des masques pour faciliter nos activités. Maintenant, là où encore je me suis sentie le plus exclue, c'est quand je me mariais. C'est-à-dire, ma belle famille a refusé à ce que mon mari m'épouse parce qu'il disait que j'allais mettre au monde que des enfants albinos. Et le jour de mon mariage, personne n'a assisté. Personne. Aucun membre de sa famille. Voilà.
how should it look like? Maybe we could start with education for it to be inclusive of persons who identify differently. Yeah.
All right. So I think it's good to acknowledge that education has come along. I'll talk about Kenya because that's what I know. That's the jurisdiction I know. Yeah. So education has come a long way from not taking women to school to now women dominating the education sector. So that's really good. Yeah. We've also gone a level higher to include and also make the institutions a bit more persons with disabilities friendly. So that also has worked. But you see, when usually when we go during the first year of university, there are those common units that everyone goes to. Then we have communication skills, we have HIV, we have those common units that everyone has to go through before they move on to the next year. So I think a practical way of actually making education more inclusive is first by making, in my opinion, making sexualities education as a common unit when you get into first year. Because just like we it's not like they introduced the HIV and AIDS, the unit, because maybe we are infected by that. Not really. It's just to make sure everyone has an understanding and a very factual understanding of what HIV is. So if you can do that for HIV, why don't we introduce a unit that also touches on sexuality so that people know at the very core of it before they go ahead to specialize in their own thing. Yeah.
And also, I think education comes in a lot here. We need to learn, we need to be sensitized on things, on certain things, on inclusion and everything. So I think when people are educated and sensitized on this, we can get more opportunities to have participation in society. So I think it starts from the roots, from home to school, before we can get out there. So I think we need to educate people more.
We are the crazy ones. We are the crazy ones, the ones who dare to dream, write, sing. We are the believers, chasing after our dreams, dancers. We are mad. If insanity means we get to achieve, put us in an asylum while chasing our dreams, we are mad. Making a difference, differently indifferent to the naysayers, different to every rule that says we cannot be. Let the world rest under our canopy of change. There is unity in our diversity, truth in our creativity. We represent reality, rawness and authenticity. We bring life to this city.
Aminata, have you ever had or faced any challenges when you're looking for a job?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Mon cas, depuis que j'ai commencé, je pose mes demandes d'emploi. J'ai jamais eu de réponse. J'ai jamais eu fait d'entretien d'embauche. J'ai jamais été appelée. J'ai fait plusieurs demandes, j'ai été appelée. Donc, j'ai laissé. Bon, c'est pas mes... Bon, il y a la présidente de la SIAM.
Oh, yeah.
Et elle travaille au fonds de garantie. Oui, elle est fonctionnaire.
So what would the kind of advice would you give to your younger self?
All right.
So I would tell my 15-year-old self first to live their most authentic, genuine life.
They shouldn't segregate. There should not be any segregation because we are all human beings. So I think a practical example is putting us in positions in the government, in societal positions, instead of treating us with pity, because we are not to be pitied. We are able, we are capable.
J'aime dire, soyons les changements que nous voulons.
So I believe from our little exercise earlier with the introductions, we actually saw that, did you notice anything? That identities are interchangeable. They only make one part of a person. And with their experiences, they were bold enough to tell us moments where they felt included and moments where they felt excluded, and even gave us practical examples of how to make the world a better place. Inclusion should be something to be contested, as Aminata has indicated. Aminata reminded us that we need to be the change that we'd like to see in the world. And even for Palermo, our young Palermo said that we shouldn't even be having this conversation on inclusion. It should be given. Join us for more conversation around inclusion and how to make it practical. Thank you. When you approach a situation with empathy, you aim to step into the shoes of another to understand their feelings and perspective. I am therefore inviting you to step into our shoes.